Hi. In the next few minutes, we're going to try understanding insulin secretion. Insulin is a very important hormone because it is the most important hormone that regulates glucose in your body. Insulin is made by the pancreas, and specifically the beta cells of the pancreas. These beta cells are specifically designed to sense glucose that is in the circulation in your bloodstream, and as a response, they will produce and release insulin into the circulation. And insulin is absolutely essential so that you can use glucose in your cells for energy. Now, how are beta cells stimulated? Or where does the glucose come that stimulates these beta cells? Well, part of the glucose comes from the liver. The liver produces glucose at all times, and it does so very efficiently during the night as well, so that we don't become hypoglycemic in the middle of the night. And that glucose produced by the liver stimulates the beta cells of the pancreas to release insulin. The other place that glucose comes from is the stomach. Whenever you eat any food, the food gets changed into glucose, specifically the carbohydrates get changed into glucose. And that glucose stimulates the beta cell of the pancreas to produce more insulin. And when you're looking at the function of the pancreas, this is a representation of a pancreas. When you look at the function of the pancreas has a number of functions that are important for digestion. The majority of the pancreas actually produces enzymes that are designed to break down protein and fat so that you can absorb them from your intestine. A very important function, because if you're lacking those enzymes, you tend to have a condition called malabsorption. Now, a minority of the pancreas is actually what we call the endocrine pancreas. And the endocrine pancreas is composed of islet cells, and within these islet cells we find our beta cells. And the islet cells make up less than 1% of your whole pancreatic mass. And these beta cells are the ones that produce insulin, and as we've just discussed, they produce insulin in response to glucose that comes from both the liver and glucose that comes from the ingestion of any starches. And starches are contained in breads, pasta, sweets, or also fruits and vegetables. So if we actually look at how glucose levels behave in the bloodstream and how insulin is secreted by our beta cells in the pancreas, this is illustrated in this diagram. What you will see is that glucose levels in your bloodstream, when you don't have diabetes, when you are normally producing insulin, are kept in a very narrow range, usually between a glucose of 70 and about 100 milligrams per deciliter. And how does the pancreas do this? Well, it does this by doing two things. It has to cover glucose that comes from the liver, and it has to cover glucose that comes from the gut after you've eaten a meal. Well, the way it does this is that it secretes a constant amount of insulin during the whole day. And that constant amount of insulin we call basal insulin production. And basal insulin production matches the output or the production of glucose by the liver and keeps blood sugars stable when you are not eating. Well, but whenever you eat, when there's glucose coming in from the gut, the beta cell of the pancreas responds by making a spike of insulin. And this spike of insulin limits the glucose increase that we see in the circulation. And this increase, or this spike in insulin production, we call a bolus.